So would you say that Source or Abraham is awareness itself, unconditioned awareness itself, prior to all thought, all manifestation, the space or now within which everything happens? Is that who we are?
We would not say awareness of all thought. We would say awareness of the most leading edge thought. If you are in awareness of all thought, you are contradicting the leading edge thought, because the thought that was before the leading edge thought is resistant to the leading edge thought. So not all thought, the most current, the most active, the most leading edge thought. You're here sorting it out, defining it, and Source receives every definition, every modification, every evolution, every expansion of every idea, and holds the vibration of that steady for you to find your way to. Consciousness is a good word for that.
Yeah.
Consciousness, awareness.
Yeah,
but not of all thought.
Right, but like prior to thought almost. Like, because when you meditate, you're not thinking, you're still you, but you're
you didn't ask us about
indefinable.
you asked us about Source.
But we are Source, right?
Well, be nice if you'd let yourself be.
Yeah.
You could be, Source is.
Yeah.
You could be too, but Source is.
Yeah.
Source is on it. And your question was about Source. You said Abraham or Source.
Yeah.
We are in that vibration of the powerful nowness that is so now.
And when we're in that state of receptivity,
then you're enlightened.
You sense that, that sense of I'm just beingness itself in this moment.
And think about what it feels like. Activate the feeling of it. Feels like clarity, feels like fun, feels like life, feels like well-being, feels like comfort, feels like knowing. That's the natural state for you. You have lots of words for it. You call it enlightenment.
Yeah.
We call it temporary.
Yeah.
We call it potential. We call it a work in progress. We call it what you're reaching for.
Yeah, that's good. So my one other question is, all spiritual traditions, from what I can tell, have such a root kernel of truth, and then often there's some distortion and misunderstanding over time.
But the kernel, forget about the kernel. Forget about the beginning of it, because the beginning of it is old. The beginning of it isn't up to speed. It isn't up to date. It isn't current, you see. Yeah. So to the degree that someone who is translating is in vibrational alignment with what Source now is expressing, to that degree, whatever that is rooted in sourciness. .com. Someone call Mark, quick.
So it seems that out of the vortex people often tend to find a way of misinterpreting teachings over time, or find a way of using it in resistant ways. So
well, everyone means well, but most everyone is very conditional.
Yeah.
It isn't the easiest thing in the world to live in an environment where you're surrounded by conditions and not be affected by those conditions. And until you put ahead of the conditions a determination to feel the alignment. That's why when you brought this to such a wonderful apex, such a place of clarity, we stayed there for a minute and said, let's feel, let's give more words to that. Let's activate that feeling in a stronger way. What does that feel like? It feels like sureness. It feels like fun. It feels like enlightenment. It feels like lightness. It feels like lightheartedness. It feels like clarity. It feels like fullness. It feels like wholeness. It feels like who I really am. It feels like allness. It feels like flexibility. It feels like readiness. It feels like good timing. It feels like aliveness. Find those feelings and practice the feeling of them, and practice it as often as you can, and look into environments and conditions as much as you can for things that you appreciate that cause you to feel that way, until you own that vibration, until that is your most practiced set point, until that's where you go, that's where you go, that's where you go, that's where you go most easily. Because when that's where you go most easily, then your off times usually don't last that long. Something brings you back into alignment. In other words, it's not days of discord and days of dysfunction. It's seconds or brief snatches in time while you're rediscovering your alignment from your new framework of stronger asking, which source has already closed the gap, filled the gap on, and you now could be, if you wanted to be, in the receptive mode of experiencing the full see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it version of your new expansion. And that's what you all came for. You came, oh, some of you must be thinking, blah, blah, blah. Do we have to talk about consciousness for one more minute? Vibration, blah, blah, blah. I just came to be in this body to enjoy my life experience. And that really is what you are here for. You are here to enjoy the experience of being the deliberate creator that you really are. Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to ask, to finish that thought and I'm done, is the idea of this teaching is so powerful and it's out there, and someday 100 years from now people look back at it and
it'll be useless because it will be old.
Yeah.
What makes this valuable, if there is value to come from it, it's that those like you discover the receptive mode and demonstrate it through the power of your example, so that the receptive mode is something that is understood. Because it doesn't matter what we or anyone says about anything. What matters is your relationship to who you've become, and your ability to understand it and process it and mold the clay, the clay of thought. Oh, we've written some really good books, and if you were to go back, buy them all. They're all out there. And they all say exactly the same thing in a different way. They all say this is a vibrational universe, and you are vibration, and you create your own reality, and law of attraction manages it all, and you get what you think about. We're done. Go play somewhere else.
So if there's one misunderstanding or distortion that occurs most with your teaching that you could sort of call out and clarify for us and help us have a reminder to stay aligned to this, is there something that you'd want to offer in that direction?
Well, the thing that we would most encourage you to care about is how you feel. We would far rather have Esther care about how she's feeling than the fact that she can't find her bag. And we would like her to be able to disassociate the feeling from the bag. We would like her feeling to be unconditional. We were happy when she found relief, but we would have also liked it if she had never found that bag and she had found relief anyway.
Yeah.
Someone's stealing it right now. No. Because as long as you are tied to a condition, then you are mostly out of control. But when what you're reaching for is the alignment that is indicated by the emotion that you feel, now you're free to move about in the receptive mode with broader view guiding you. In other words, you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. You can't get it wrong and you never get it done, and you never get it done and you cannot get it wrong, and you cannot get it wrong and you never get it done, and you never get it done and you cannot get it wrong. It's going to take a while. You can't get it wrong. You never get it done, you can't get it wrong. So what did you last ask us? What was that?
I said, what is the biggest misunderstanding you see of these teachings, and what is the one thing to remember that will keep us from doing that, from losing kind of the focus of what this is really all about?
The way I feel need not be tied to conditions, but that's not the best way of saying it. I want to be unconditional in my alignment, and almost no one is for very long, because the conditions have your attention. You've let the conditions matter too much. And so we get it. You're here. You've been living in conditions. the conditions of finance, the conditions of relationship, the conditions of environment. You are on the leading edge. We get it. And there's another seeming contradiction, because we began today by telling you, by agreeing with you, that you're here for the creation of the cars and the relationships and the homes and the life and the good feeling experiences. In other words, we like you to create conditions that are pleasing to you. We just don't want those conditions to be what matters most. We want how you feel to be what matters most, and we want you to put the feeling before the conditions, because if you put the conditions first, you never get there. Not really. So that is the biggest misunderstanding. The biggest misunderstanding is, all right, I'm going to go to this Abraham gathering, and Abraham has all this information about the laws of the universe, and in going there I will be able to discover how to create a life experience that I can then feel good about. That's the misunderstanding. Because what this is about is, I'm going to an Abraham seminar where infinite intelligence is explaining the laws of the universe, so that I can discover the bliss of being in the receptive mode, so that I can experience in now the awareness that Source has about where I am. Because what you want is alignment and being here. What you want is alignment and driving that Audi R8. That's what you want. Not just driving the Audi R8. You want alignment and driving the Audi R8. You want alignment in your sexual intertwining. You want alignment in your conversations. You want alignment. You want alignment and then, alignment and then, and alignment and then. Not then, which may help me to be aligned. That is the biggest misunderstanding. It's the cart before the horse thing.
Thank you. Really good.
Yeah, it is. It was really good.
That's it.
Thank you. Couldn't be better. Yes.